We're about to go into 5 Napkin Burger to talk to Robert Guarino, and he was referred to me by David Rev Ciencia, episode 799. I have amazing things to say about this guy. I am interested. They went from 1 to 7 really fast, and now they're at 2 locations, so I'm kind of curious to know what happened there. He's also, I think, a partner, so he's the CEO of 5 Napkin. He's the partner, I want to say, between 4 or 5 other concepts. I'm curious what the partnership and what that looks like. Some really interesting stuff. I can't wait to get into it.
This episode brought to you by Restaurant Systems Pro. With excitement, allow me to introduce to you today's guest, New York City restaurateur, CEO and head coach of 5 Napkin Burger, and partner in the chef-driven group, Robert Guarino. Robert, are you feeling unstoppable today?
Always. One of the reasons I love hockey and sports is that, really everything is earned. And you can't take your foot off the gas if you're the same player today that you were yesterday. Yeah. Somebody else is gonna leapfrog. I'm in the mindset of the restaurateur and entrepreneur, and it's really about passion and love. And that in some ways it's kind of like playing jazz, right? There's not a formula to great jazz. It's you're doing things that inspire you and that you hope are going to translate to your guests. And so, in the corporate world, there's definitely, a different focus on, profitability sometimes and structure and systems. And that doesn't always happen as well in the independent world.
Yeah.
So, I, having done both and having, seen the level of professionalism rise throughout the industry, I try to do both as a business, but at the end of the day, I think passion and art and love and inspiration and all that is a big part of any successful restaurant concept.
So when we're saying passion and love, what is it specifically that we're passionate about and that we love?
So, it's different. I've been involved in a lot of different concepts, right? And at different levels of dining, and it's different for all of them and similar for all of them. But I guess if I had to distill it, I'd say what we're trying to create is, first of all, I'll say one of the things I'm probably most passionate about is what I'll call casual fine dining, right? So from casual dining all the way up through, 2-star New York Times kind of casual dining, not 3 and 4-star tasting menu level is not where my heart lies. I like restaurants that are meeting places that are, important to their neighborhood.
So what is it about the finer dining, more high touch, like rigid environment that isn't sitting right with you?
It's not that I love to experience it. Yeah. I love it as a guest. It's just not necessarily where I've spent my time. And
I agree with you. I could never be a part of a restaurant like that. It's too stressful.
Yeah. I think it's fun. I'd have fun doing it, but really goes to me. I like these concepts that are kind of loud and boisterous and, have a big beverage component that's not just wine, has cocktails and spirits and an active bar. And really, I used that word meeting place a minute ago. I think, kind of everything I'm involved with and have worked on really is a meeting place in its neighborhood.
Yeah.
So it may serve tourists or theater goers or business people or business lunch, but at the end of the day, I enjoy restaurants that people come to often, right? So if you live in the neighborhood, you should be coming there a couple times a month, at minimum, and to really be part of a place.
What are the key elements to achieve this type of restaurant? Like, what are the variables that are most important to create a meeting place?
Well, I think you need to be somewhat approachable, right? So you can't be too stiff or too formal. I think you have to be friendly. Like, when I talk about service, I always say the same thing. There's 2 main goals of service of what I'm trying to build in a team, and the first is warmth, and the second is knowledge. Right, so everything else comes. If we're warm and we're working hard to try to make people feel comfortable, we've done 90% of the work. After that, hopefully we're knowledgeable about what we're serving and knowledgeable about ways we can really add to the experience. But warmth is by far number 1.
Yeah, it's like one of those key synonyms in hospitality. I think generosity, warmth, conviviality, or some of those words that you see are synonymous with hospitality. When you say warmth, really paint the picture. What do you mean by warmth? What is warmth in your words?
I just, when I talk about it, like with the, like when a guest approaches the front door of a restaurant, there's so much that's going through their head. Do I have a reservation? Will they find my reservation? Do I need a reservation? Can they spell my name? And I'm fascinated by how quickly we can just get them to relax. And so we'll say, don't lead with 2 for dinner, lead with, good evening.
Yeah.
And it's not good evening, sir, because that's too stiff or too formal. It's good evening, and start to make people comfortable. And the minute you can get people to realize they're in good hands, then they can relax and start to realize, all right, this is a place I want to be tonight. And hopefully I'm excited to come back to.
How do you feel about trends?
You know what? I am very proud to have a lot of restaurants, been involved with restaurants that have a lot of longevity, right? So Marseille upstairs is, it's 22 years old now. We opened in 2001. 2 months after 9/11 we opened. So, trends are great, but I think it's also very important to keep an eye over the horizon. As far as restaurant format, kind of nothing fascinates me more than the brasseries of Paris. And those restaurants have been around for 120 years, doing the same thing through World War I, through World War II, they're still there. And you're basically going and getting the same experience that you got 120 years ago. I find that incredibly fascinating.
We have to interrupt today's video to let you know that right now, Restaurant Systems Pro is offering a no strings attached 60-day trial that will help you improve your systems, increase your profit, and find better work-life balance. All you have to do is click the link below. So we just wrapped up with Robert Guarino, and he absolutely killed it. Tons of really great lessons in today's episode. It's hard to narrow it down to a couple, but absolutely treat it like you own it. If you make someone else successful, they should, you would hope at least, return, but they're going to be much more likely to return the favor and help you whenever you're trying to do. He treated it like he owned it with Marseille, and that work that he did at Marseille really opened up the door for him. They were able to help him. From there, he went and opened the 5 Napkin Burger, and he's partnership in a whole bunch of other restaurants, at least 5 other concepts, I want to say. And at one point, they had 7 5 Napkin Burners. They went back to 2, so there were some really great lessons on scaling too fast and what they learned from that. Then also, they got into fractional executives. So this idea of you don't necessarily need to go buy the whole cow. You can get a piece of it, right? And pay for what you need. Pay kind of like a consultant on retainer almost. So it was an amazing conversation. Thank you again to our guest, Rob. You killed it, man. Cheers.